Good morning to you. Good morning to you. We're all in our places with sunshiny faces. What's up, guys? It's me again, Luca here. Back to you with another reaction video. And this time we're doing the next episode of the Stories of Sodor. But last time, on the last reaction video, one of the engines got accused of war crimes. And that engine was, surprisingly, Peter. Because apparently he fired a bombshell at a hospital full of non-combatants. Which I'm sure he was trying to aim for those German soldiers. But yeah, after a non-successful trial, Peter got done, and so see you maybe around season 4, Peter. Poor guy. But still, the law is the law, and we can't change it. Anyways. Today, we're going to be looking... So, for today's episode, we're going to be looking at the Stories of Sodor extension. The Peel Godred branch line, long abandoned, is finally extended. Several new engines arrived on the island to run it, one of whom causes quite a stir. Arthur! Yeah, only kidding. I saw the preview. But when will Peter be released from Railgate? What are these engines like in the story? And how the hell is Arthur still alive? Well, let's find out right here, right now, on Season 3 of the Stories of Sodor, starting in 3, 2, 1, let's go!
The train, for its type, is the most powerful vehicle on land. And the engines of Sodor are the power behind the docks, industries and branch lines that make up the world-renowned Northwestern Railway. These are the Stories of Sodor. The rest of 1949 was a blur for those of us on Sodor following Peter's conviction. It took a long time for us to come to terms with what our number 15 had done, and that he would spend just as many years in Railgate. What made it worse was the bitter reality of working life that came with his incarceration. What I mean by that is without his strength, the heavy goods work was quick to pile up. Henry tried his best to compensate, but he could only do so much. The rest of us had to pitch in on the longer trains, double or even triple heading some. Despite the Fat Controller's best efforts, he struggled to get a replacement engine. In fact, it wasn't until April of 1950 that we finally got one. Fortunately, that engine was Jeffrey, who became a permanent addition to the Northwestern Region's fleet. Thanks to him, we were able to get back on top of the goods work, and some semblance of normality returned to the island. But as I just said, it took us a long time to accept Peter's situation.
So is Jeffrey like a permanent part of the island now?
So, he's doing okay? Well enough, considering he's carrying out the longest prison sentence ever handed down to a non-faceless vehicle. Tell me he's at least getting some exercise. They didn't just shunt him without the intention of moving him. Of course he is. Twice a day he's allowed to roll up and down the line he's on. Crikey, that sounds like madness. At least I'll know what I'm in for. Pardon? Come on, Joey. They locked up Peter for shelling a hospital. How long before they come after me for drowning those prisoners? Never. What do you mean, never?
Say what?
Adam, were you never told the specifics about the men you killed? Well, no. The only one I know about for sure is a Czech conscript who was on board that coach. Yes, Andrei Zelenka, career conman and a thief who ran an insurance scam on Jewish families at the height of the Holocaust. What? And the rest were equally vile. I'll spare you the details, but the least objectionable crime of the lot was a single count of torture and murder. How do you know all this?
Whoa.
I now work for MI5, remember? I have access to their entire intelligence gathering network. Hang about. Does that mean you knew what Peter did before you pinched him? Yes. And you didn't say anything? I couldn't. Classified. Convenient. So, the UN isn't going to come after me? It might not appear it at times, but the United Nations isn't stupid. If they charge you with drowning those men, they know the backlash would be enormous. I can tell you for a fact that many of the investigators who looked into the matter agreed what you did was a global service. And what do you think? I'm less cavalier. While I don't agree with executing people without trial, I can't deny those were some truly despicable men. Blimey. You alright, mate? Yeah, it's just, I never knew any of this. I've wrestled with this for so many years. Now to hear that none of those men were really innocent, I'm so confused. Was I still right to do what I did? That's a decision you'll have to come to on your own. And if I don't, then be prepared to live with it for the rest of your life.
Damn.
That's hardly a pleasant thought.
Ooh.
Well, Samantha, where shall I put this lot? You can leave it there if you like. I'll shunt it in a moment. Not to worry. You've been an absolute lifesaver in recent times, Jeffrey. Your help is very much appreciated. My pleasure. Glad to be of assistance. Oh, Edward, before I forget, I'd like to ask you something. Of course, old chap. What is it? It's about the line that runs north of Kildane. I've travelled past it many times over the years, but I've always forgotten to ask about it. Until now. Very well. What do you want to know? I've never seen any traffic go up or down that line. Why is that? For one, it only goes north about 3 miles, and for another, it doesn't connect up to anything. Then, what is it? It would have been the Peel-Godred branch line. Would have been? Yes. It was a government initiative back during the Great Depression, an effort to create jobs. What happened? What little money there was assigned to the project ran out sooner than expected. Ever since, it's been left to rust. I've heard a lot about Peel-Godred. They say it's completely built inside the walls of an old castle. Indeed it is, or so I'm told. It's a rather popular tourist attraction, but it's very hard to get to by road. In fact, the only way to get to it really is to take the train from Alsborough to King Ori's Bridge and then a bus to the castle. Sounds rather inefficient. Indeed it does. But the Mid-Sodor chaps like this arrangement as it provides a lot of revenue for their railway. And from what I hear, they need every shilling. Yes, it is rather worrisome, isn't it? So is the fact we need to get this train to Vickerstown and we're already late. We are? Bust my buffers. Sorry you two, but I really must dash. Ta-ta! Goodbye, Edward. Later, Edward.
Oh, Sam and Jeffrey. Dang. Ooh.
Ah, Edward. Excellent timing.
Ja.
Even though I'm late, sir? Are you? I hadn't noticed. At any rate, I'd like to introduce 2 new engines who will be joining us here on Sodor. This is Paul and Hurricane.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Hurricane.
Ah, so you're the famous Edward. Famous, am I? Aye. Even without the railway series, I'd recognise you from your exploits during the war. It's a joy to meet you in person. Thank you very much, Paul. And Hurricane, would you be friends with an engine named Molly? That I would. She's told me all about you Sodrian fellows. She mentioned you quite a bit during her time here. Says you're a jolly good worker. Oh, she's a dear. She sends her regards and looks forward to seeing you soon. Soon? Is she coming back to Sodor? Oh, sorry, Sir Topham. Was that supposed to be a secret? No, Hurricane. It's fine. So, she is coming back? If I may say so, sir. First BR Dorals in sending us a replacement engine, now they send us 3 more? There is a very specific reason for that, Edward. The Peel-Godred branch line is going to be completed. It is, sir? Oh, yes. The original project that was begun all those years ago will be undertaken to its fullest extent, with a few additional features. Like what, sir? For starters, an industrial complex is going to be built outside Peel-Godred itself in an effort to promote jobs. and just down the way from there, a steel mill is going to be constructed. So the rumors were true. They did find iron ore deposits around Caldy Fell. So it seems. Needless to say, that is very good news for us, as any excess ore that's mined will be exported. Of course, we have to build the branch, and the mill, and the mine first, sir. That we do. The entire project is expected to take 3 to 4 years to complete. Paul and Hurricane will carry out the bulk of the construction. Once it's built, they will work the line alongside Molly and a yet-to-be-assigned engine. Will the rest of us be involved in this undertaking, sir? Only if necessary. For the time being, you are all expected to carry out your usual jobs. Yes, sir. This is quite an extraordinary coincidence. What is? After explaining the conversation I had had with Sam and Jeffrey, Sir Topham instructed me to escort Paul and Hurricane to Kildane, where work began on the Peel Godred branch immediately. The first stage was to rip up the old, rotting and rusted rails that had sat there for so long. After that, the construction began in full swing. It was slow going due to the incredibly rough terrain that had to be worked through. By far and away the most arduous phases of the project were building the viaduct and digging the mile-long tunnel through solid rock beneath Peel Godred itself. I remember the first time I saw the fabled walled town during one of the days I helped out. It truly was an awe-inspiring experience, as was seeing up close the mighty mountain of Caldy Fell. About 2 years after the project started, the Fat Controller announced the previously unassigned engine to the branch had been chosen and would be coming to Sodor. And my word, we were certainly shocked when he arrived. Have you lads heard the peace talks have broken down? What peace talks? In Korea, Edward. You know, the war. Oh, right. I'd completely forgotten about that. Isn't that terrible, forgetting that a war is going on? Don't beat yourself up, Edward. I'd forgotten too. It does seem like it isn't getting the same amount of coverage as the last war did. I wondered why. Maybe because it's so close to the end of the last war. But it is a shame the peace talks have broken down. Looks like the chaps will have to suffer through recreating the Western Front a while longer. Aye, the stalemate along the 38th parallel is certainly reminiscent of the First World War. They're even resorting to air offensives in a bid to break it. How do you mean? I hear the Americans have started bombing the North Korean capital. Have you lads noticed the Americans seem to have a strategic affinity for flying around bombing things? It's worked for them in the past. Take a look at Hiroshima. If you have a winning strategy, you stick with it. Isn't that right, Toby?
What does
Toby, what's wrong? Edward, look! Ah, Kildane. Good. I found it. How do you do, lads? My name's Arthur! Yes. I guess you know about me. Know about you? Damn right we do, you mongrel. Who you calling a mongrel, old iron? Says the engine who killed over 100 people. What are you talking about, old-timer? You're trying to deny it? Wait, how the hell are you even alive? You got scrapped. Scrapped? Killed over 100 people? You lads hoping on the Welsh coal or something? What are you playing at, Arthur? You think we wouldn't remember you? Remember me? Mate, I don't know you. What? I say, Edward, Toby, what in blazes has gotten into you two? Since when do you speak to visitors like this? Sir Topham, what are you doing here? I wanted to personally welcome Arthur to Sodor. I thought introducing him to 2 of its longest-serving residents would be a fine way to acclimate him to the island. But instead, you attack him. You know this engine, sir? Of course I do. He served with distinction on the mainland during the war. As a matter of fact, I was there at his first firing back in 1943. 1943? Edward, I think we've made a terrible mistake. Yes, it seems that way. All right, clearly there has been some confusion here. So let's take a breath and discuss it calmly. What were you two talking about? Well, Sir Topham, are you familiar with the Great Preston disaster? Of course. So am I. You are? Aye. That accident was the reason why my class was shelved. No one would want to take a train being pulled by an engine whose prototype was responsible for causing a horrific crash. I had no idea that accident happened here on Sodor, though. I don't understand. What does that have to do with Arthur here? With respect, sir, I thought you said you knew about the disaster. Admittedly, only partly. The files on the crash are incomplete. I knew the engine's name was Arthur, but there were no details or photographs of him. Well, sir, that engine looked exactly like this one. Are you being serious? He is. You're identical to that Arthur in every way, right down to the paintwork and the lettering on your side tanks. That's frightening. Indeed. I've heard of coincidences, but this is absurd. That is quite bizarre. But I can assure you this engine is not that one. So can I. I'd never behave so recklessly with any train, certainly not one containing passengers. That's good to know. On behalf of us both, I sincerely apologize for our deplorable behavior. That's all right. In your place, I don't know how I'd react. No wonder you two looked like you'd seen a ghost when I came in. What? There's something else we need to tell you about your predecessor.
Luca, 1 year later. So, this is a new Arthur? Wow!
Well, gentlemen, it's been a long 3 years, but the branch line is completed. Fantastic work from all of you. Thank you, sir. When's the grand opening going to be? This time next week, but it will be operating from today. As a kind of soft opening, sir? Exactly. Over the next 7 days, we'll be able to assess the branch line and catch any flaws that may develop. It'll also give Molly a chance to arrive. Ah, yes. About that, there's been a change of plans. She won't be coming to Sodor, as she's been reassigned to the southeastern region. However, another engine has been given her spot and will be arriving this afternoon. As to the day's assignments, they are as follows. Hurricane, you will collect the first shipment of steel from the mill and take it to Kildane. Paul, shunting duties around the yard. And Arthur, you will run the line's first passenger service. Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it. Sounds like there's a lot of people over at the station. The ticket vendor says they've sold out. Hope you're up to delivering a full train. Always, sir. That's what I like to hear. If there are no questions, it's time to get to work. All right there, Paul? Not exactly. I've been trapped in this spot for the past hour because the wretched points up front and behind me jammed. What's worse is we haven't been able to contact anyone to fix it because the flippin' phone lines are down. That'd explain why they weren't working up at the mill. Lucky those were the only things on the blink. Everything else went fine. So much so, I'm actually ahead of schedule. If that's the case, you got time to shunt that lot over there? Not a worry. Just give me a tick.
Uh-oh. That music can't be good. Something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. I can already see it. What the?
Hurricane! What?
What?
How did that happen? Bust my buffers! Arthur's due to be coming back up the branch now. Oh, globbits! I gotta catch those trucks!
How? How? Why? How did that happen? It's gonna be a freaking crash now. Why is there always a freaking crash?
Oh, son of a... Fizzling fireboxes! That was lucky!
That explains it. The Buckingham is back in action again. How does it keep doing that? Maybe it belongs to Proteus. Oh! Probably the way I'm gonna spoil this.
Lost something there, mate? Yes. Blimey. I can't believe you managed to stop that. This isn't the first runaway I've caught. At least this one doesn't have an engine in front of it.
Samson!
Some fine-looking steel here. Grade 50 structural, if I'm not mistaken. You know your steel? I've no shortage of experience handling this stuff, though I'd much rather prefer they don't get away from me. So do I. It'll be interesting to see how this happened. The explanation for the incident wasn't all that exciting. One of the couplings on the brake van simply broke. I'm pleased to say that and some faulty points were the worst thing to afflict the line in the 7 days leading up to the grand opening. The Peel Godred branch proved to be an outstanding extension to the northwestern region. Countless commuters and tourists utilized the passenger services, while vast amounts of steel, iron ore, and other assorted goods helped boost our profit margins. However, as the Peel Godred branch flourished, the Mid-Sodor Railway withered. But that is a story for another day.
To be continued. Again. That was awesome. Brilliant. Loved it. And now we know that Arthur got multiplied! Or cloned or whatever. Well, awesome work, Victor. Awesome work. But now, what's going to happen to the Mid-Sodor Railway? What's going to happen to its engines? And why did the original Arthur look different as a ghost? Excuse me. Sorry. But let's find... Well, I guess we'll find out soon enough. But for now, this is Luca saying bye-bye for now and have a wonderful day.